3.5 years.
Well, actually confirmed by Carl Hogan now, and in fact says he will have a team of his own for next year, and they will go their separate ways at the end of the season. Let's go to Gary.
Well, we talked again this morning with Carl Hogan about this situation. So many rumors about the possible split with he and Bobby Rahal. Carl wanted to make it emphatically known that split has not occurred at this point. It may happen by the end of the season, but the thing that he wants to report is both he and Rahal will definitely be involved in IndyCar racing in 1996. Who they're associated with, that's what remains to be seen.
Well, right now, Bobby Rahal, very racy. Look at him and Little Al and DeFerrin as they line up behind tail Bobby. What a great battle this is.
Rahal is...
Whoa, we got a car off. That's Ribeiro.
Ribeiro in the Honda engine car. You see him there. That's that tricky turn at the end of the long straightaway.
I wouldn't want to be sitting there.
I think they can see him as they brake, Bill Paul. That's Ampedri working his way by. Bachelor. And the others.
Question, of course, is did he keep the engine running and can he get it going again?
Well, he can get some help there. There are a number of course workers. I think the answer is he did not keep the engine running.
It's difficult to do with that 6-speed box, the sequential gearbox now, which is actually 5 forward speeds, but you've got to go down completely through the gears. You can't just grab a gear.
Yeah, so Lynn, what you're saying is you're losing control and you're trying to go not just down to the gear you want, which would be second or first. You got to go through all the gears.
All the sequences.
Yeah.
Fight continues at the front of the field. Brian Herta, first one out with Gary Gerald.
Brian, the disappointment just continues to mount. What happened now? There was contact with Stefan Johansson?
Yeah, I'm starting to feel a little bit like a pinball out there, you know. As Stefan moved to the right to block me going into the braking at the end of the straightaway, so I went to the left side, and when he saw me coming up the left side on me, he just moved over and put me in the wall. There's nowhere I could go.
Toronto has been a tough place the last couple of years for you, hasn't it?
Well, you know, it's been good to me and it's been bad to me, but, you know, I'm not going to blame it on the racetrack. It wasn't its fault.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks.
Brian Herta, good sense of humor as Andre Ribeiro gets that Honda fired and gets back into the fight. At the front of the field, it is still Jack Villeneuve, Jimmy Vasser, and Scott Pruitt. There is Villeneuve. And that battle has spread out for a bit. Let's take a look up track.
The leading two cars there, Villeneuve and Vasser, are both Reynard cars, but they're set up very, very differently. I look at them in the pits this morning. They have different wheelbases, different weight distribution. They're very different. Here comes Rahal taking another look at Bobby.
Boy, this has been a great 4-car fight for 6th place right from the green flag. Again, we ride with Bobby Rahal. Look at Little Al as he tries to get down inside him.
Rahal had his best race of the year here in Toronto last year into 2nd place. It was his highest finish of the year, and it looks like he is again the master of this course.
You know what worries me? You catch a glimpse of it on that shot we just had. Little buildup of rubber on the outside of the turn.
Those marbles are going to start building up as the day progresses, obviously, and it's going to make the line much tighter and much cleaner, and some of this dicing around that you see Bobby doing won't be able to get away with.
And it's going to mean they're going to have to be a lot braver.
Lynn, you and Paul, of course, are talking particularly about Detroit a few weeks ago, where at the end of the race there was just one lane open for racing. But recently, the officials have decided to try to sweep the course whenever they possibly can when there's an incident. So hopefully it won't come to that. But if it does, it makes what we're looking at now in the early stages where passing is still possible all the more crucial.
Still riding on board Bobby Rahal.
You notice also the track shape, the pavement changes in the track. That also changes the amount of grip that they get. So as you go from asphalt there to concrete, it really dramatically changes the grip. So the drivers are constantly having to adjust to that. And as those marbles build up, it'll also change the grip. You can see them sitting out there on the outside.
We talked earlier about the trouble area being turn 11 just before the start-finish line, where not only is it fast, incredibly fast, they've also had to do a lot of work on it, Lynn.
Well, they tried to do a repaving actually last night, and it didn't work. So what I found out is they had to take all of that off again and scrub it off and clean it off, and it just didn't take and it didn't work. So they're back to the same turn 11 that they had all weekend.
Newman Haas cars, Michael Andretti and Paul Tracy run 4th and 5th, Gary Gerald.
And our first report on handling characteristics for both Andretti and Tracy. Both are reporting a touch of understeer. They may be having to make changes to the setup when they come in for their first pit stop. But both drivers reporting the same condition. What we don't know is if both cars were set up identically at the start of this race.
Doesn't seem to be affecting performance at all. Fastest lap of the race. Bit of a surprise is Scott Pruitt at 107.6. He turned that on lap number 7. We're on the 15th lap right now. So third place, Scott Pruitt, very much a contender here, especially considering that Jacques Villeneuve has traditionally been the fastest car on the circuit, and certainly was a week ago at Road America. 15 laps complete.
Every time the driving conditions change, the threats to your car's engine change. That's why Quaker State has engineered intelligent oil that senses those changing threats and adapts its own molecular structure to protect your engine, whatever the conditions. So, if the temperature changes, so does Quaker State. If the traffic congestion changes, so does Quaker State, the intelligent oil for longer engine life.
At Honda, we've already put together quite a chapter for ourselves in racing history. Of course, another page or two wouldn't hurt.
It has a four-wheel independent suspension system designed to hug the corners and fly down the straightaways. It has a gleaming red finish, durable enough to withstand vigorous bumping. It seats one comfortably. And although this vehicle will never win any speed races, it will help you come out ahead week after week in the checkout lane.
We put these glass walls on the course at Road Atlanta to demonstrate the wet traction and performance of the Goodyear Eagle Aqua Tread. Racing-inspired dual aqua channels sweep water away for outstanding wet traction. Broad shoulders add aggressive grip for precise cornering. Its unique tread compound helps you stick to the road. You get the performance of an Eagle, the wet traction of an Aqua Tread. Eagle Aqua Tread, only from Goodyear.
Baseball's best play the summer's hottest hit. The Yankees, the Dodgers, the Rangers, and the Phillies are all on Baseball Night in America, Monday on ABC Sports.
Well, you can count on it. We go away for a few seconds and everything seems to happen. Al Unser Jr. into the wall. Bobby Rahal and Little Al got together. Here's how it happened. They were in that close battle. They've been back and forth regularly, and then this.
Rahal appears to hold his line steadily. He's in the black and yellow car, but he turns in, and there's just no room for Little Al, who gets hit in the left front. Lynn, do you make that a racer's accident, or should Rahal have given Al more room?
Well, no, I think, Al still was clearly ahead. It was 3 abreast there going into that corner. Al Jr. took a huge risk, and he paid a penalty by taking the risk.
Rahal was ahead. Yeah, I agree with you.
I'm sorry, did I?
This puts just about paid to Al's hopes, I think, of retaining the championship, because just 6 races to go, he's going to drop way back.
Then, too, we had this situation as Scott Pruitt was chasing the 2 leaders, Vassar and Villeneuve. He just let the back end go on a corner, did a full loop, and was able to get it back going. But, of course, he lost position because everybody at the front still running very close together.
Particularly devastating for this team. They had a one-off sponsorship for this race, which they had hoped to expand to other races. A bad performance here will hurt. And look at this, Paul.
Looks like the right rear totally gone from Stefan Johansson's car.
Aren't you supposed to have 4 wheels?
I mean, it looks like the hub carrier attached, though, so maybe the wheel just came off and it's something they can get going. That was the very part of the car that was involved in the contact earlier. Let's go to Jack.
Well, Paul, Scott Pruitt has made his way on the pit road for service of full course caution. The problem was Pruitt was not loose. He was actually, now they've got a problem trying to get the car jacked back up, because they are going to check for what could be an overheating problem. The report on the radio is he may have actually spun in his own water. So they're going to have to take the bonnet off and check that out. Let's check further up pit road with Gary Gerald.
And Jack, up in here, everybody, of course, taking advantage of the yellow. A wide pit window here, so they're now within that safety zone. They make the first stop. It could be tight to go the rest of the distance with one more stop. Everything looked routine here. Paul Tracy did come in, and he did get 1 turn on a front wing because he wants a different handling race car. Michael Andretti was still in the decision-making process before he came in. We frankly couldn't see his car to note whether or not they did make a change on Andretti's car.
Going back to Scott Pruitt for a moment, yes, right after he spun and got going again, we did see quite a display of fluid at the back of the car, so maybe that predicted this. Look at Johansson trying to get around.
It's too bad for Scott Pruitt because he had scored more points on these temporary street courses than anyone else and had a great chance today.
So Stefan Johansson tries to work his way back to the pits while we're under a full course caution. Scott Pruitt with what appear to be terminal problems in the back of the car. Is that right, Jack?
Paul, absolutely. A fitting at the front of the motor actually snapped in half, and that has taken Scott Pruitt out of this race in Toronto. Back to you.
So as Scott climbs out of his car after what looked like was going to be a terrific run, we are under the full course caution. Jack Villeneuve and Jimmy Vasser, neither one have stopped. We'll be back after these messages and a word from our ABC stations.
In these mountains, you need a tough truck.
Dave Ashley, search and rescue volunteer.
Trails, I tend to make my own. It's one torture test after another. But the people I'm looking for depend on someone to find them. Well, I depend on something too. My Ford F-Series. How do you learn a job like this? Let's just say I drive something tougher than a golf cart on the weekends.
Ford F-Series. The best-selling trucks are built Ford tough.
All-new Miller Genuine Draft Bobby Rahal IndyCar. Awesome. When opened up.
Sunday, a network television premiere.
Do you like to make love with your boots on?
Yeah, get better traction that way.
Well, if you get better traction, then you keep them on.
Paul Newman and Lolita Davidovich in Blaze. Sunday at a special time on ABC.
Wow. Mark Harmon is Charlie Grace. Coming this fall to ABC.
Looking for an apartment, condo, or house? Call Rentline, 789-RENT. It's easy and it's free. Rentline has helped thousands find the perfect place to live, and we can help you. Call 789-RENT. Avoid the frustration and time of looking through newspapers or driving around town. Rentline gives you free detailed information 24 hours a day, 7 days a week over your telephone. Property owners and managers put Rentline to work to fill your vacancies. Call Rentline, 789-RENT. Wherever you are, there's no better way to rent.
Do you have bankruptcies, judgments, repossessions, bad credit, no credit at all? No problem. We can get you financed at Foothill Nissan. Hey, we financed over 35,000 customers with credit problems. And if you're a first-time buyer, we can get you into the new car or truck that you want. Come see the second chance people at Foothill Nissan. 3333 Foothill Boulevard in La Crescenta, or call us 213-687-7000.
The Elite Search and Rescue Unit, today at 5 on Channel 7.
Back at Toronto under a full course caution. Coming up next, the biggest stars in senior golf shoot for the title in the #1 of their tour's most prestigious events. J.C. Snead is now the leader after the third round, and will go to Michigan for the final round of the Ford Senior Players Championship next, right here on ABC Sports. You know, it was 1 year ago at this very race that Michael Andretti last tasted victory. His hard-nosed style of driving has led to several incidents thus far in the '95 season. He has led the most laps, but he has yet to win.
I think in the first couple races, should have won them both, had problems, and, you know, it just seems like that's the way the whole year's gone from then. I just try as hard as I can, and it comes across as being aggressive, and that's the way I am, you know, and sometimes too aggressive, and get myself in trouble. You know, that's why I've won the races I've won. It's not because I've laid back. It's okay.